History is unfair, especially to brilliant people with poor bosses. And as history remembers it, India almost ended up being a French colony, and this video would have been made in French instead of English, sipping cafe instead of chai and calling our cities Puducherry, Madras Français or Calcutta sur Ganges. But fate intervened. Or should we say, an extremely poor boss did. The story starts with Dupleix. When Joseph François Dupleix became the Governor General of French establishments in India in 1742, the Carnatic was already unstable. The Mughal Empire has weakened, and provincial rulers were fighting succession battles. Dupleix saw this chaos as leverage. By 1744, Britain and France were at war in Europe, and they were promptly exported this war to India. First came the capture of Madras. In 1746, a French naval squadron attacked Madras, or Chennai as we know it today. Madras was the administrative and commercial heart of British power in India during this time. The British defences were weak and the city fell after a short bombardment. The local ruler of the Carnatic, Anwaruddin Khan, demanded that Madras be handed over to him, claiming sovereignty. Dupleix refused. Anwaruddin responded by sending a large Indian army to retake the city. This led to the Battle of Ambur. A few hundred French soldiers faced several thousand troops of the Nawab near the Ambur river. The French used disciplined infantry and field artillery. The Nawab's army collapsed. Madras remained French, at least temporarily. As the hostilities continued in 1749, French-supported forces defeated and killed Anwaruddin Khan at the Battle of Ambur. Yes, this is the same Ambur where the famous Ambur-style biryani originates with its distinct flavor, but that's a story for another vlog. Suddenly, there was a power vacuum in the Carnatic. Now came the Carnatic succession war. Dupleix's real strategy unfolded. A succession struggle followed between Chand Sahib and Anwaruddin's son, Muhammad Ali Khan Walaja. Dupleix backed Chand Sahib. Why? Because Chand Sahib agreed to French military protection and political alignment. The British backed Muhammad Ali. This turned an Indian succession war into a proxy war between the two European powers. Very soon, Chand Sahib proclaimed himself Nawab with French backing, and Dupleix staged elaborate ceremonies in Pondicherry, presenting himself as the kingmaker. Coins were minted, special titles were granted. Dupleix anchored the French win in a grand show of strength. At exactly the same time when the Carnatic War of Succession was happening, the same template was being played out in the neighboring Hyderabad. After the death of the Nizam Asaf Jah I in 1748, Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung fought for control of the throne. Dupleix backed Muzaffar Jung. French-trained troops and artillery decided the conflict. Muzaffar Jung became Nizam of Hyderabad and rewarded Dupleix with territory and revenue rights. But very soon, both Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung were killed in separate skirmishes by the hired Afghan mercenary forces. And the French instilled Salabat Jung to the Hyderabad throne. This was Dupleix's high point. French influence now stretched from Pondicherry through the Carnatic into the Deccan heartland. Now the power game took a turn. Remember Muhammad Ali, who also lost the Carnatic War of Succession? Once he lost against the combined forces of French and Chand Sahib, he fled and took refuge in Trichinopoly. Today we know this historic city of the Chola Empire as Tiruchirappalli or Trichy on the banks of river Kaveri. French and Chand Sahib's forces now laid siege to Trichinopoly. This siege mattered enormously. If Trichy fell, British influence in the Carnatic and with that in India would end forever. As the British were struggling to break the siege, they took a wild chance with a young officer. The name of this young officer was Robert Clive. Clive, now out of desperation, did something reckless. Clive marched with roughly 200 European soldiers, 300 Indian sepoys and a handful of guns. The monsoon was raging. The Arcot garrison fled without a fight and the British captured the fort without breaking into sweat. This embarrassed Chand Sahib. His capital had fallen to a force that looked more like a border patrol not like an army. He immediately sent his son Raza Sahib with several thousand troops to retake Arcot. Raza Sahib attacked Robert Clive's forces. Outnumbered, Clive valiantly held on to the Arcot fort for 50 days and eventually signed for peace and was given a safe passage. Clive's gamble has finally paid off. The British got some breathing space but were still in the brink of elimination. French-backed forces still controlled large swathes of the Carnatic countryside. Trichinopoli remained under pressure for months. The French were holding on to the initiative in Hyderabad and southern politics was under their sway. But now, a new problem surfaced for the French. Money. Every month of war drained the French East India Company. Subsidies to Chand Sahib and other allies piled up. Paris now started to see this mounting debt without a final settlement. Meanwhile, the British East India Company was willing to bleed longer. London understood that their very existence in India was at stake. Then came the unthinkable. Or maybe fate intervened. Dupleix's French boss took a decision which changed the course of global geopolitics forever. The French fired Dupleix. He was recalled to Paris in 1754. The French cancelled all his treaties with Indian kings and Nawabs and apologized to the British. Yes, actually apologized. The British were stunned but jubilant. From the brink of elimination, the British bounced back. The British and Robert Clive continued the same strategy of alliances and treaties in Bengal. Within the next 3 years from when Dupleix left for Paris in the fateful year of 1857, Robert Clive, along with his allies or co-conspirators, overthrew the Nawab of Bengal in the famous Battle of Plassey and founded the British Empire in India. Thus, as some may say, India was not conquered by the British, it was abandoned by the French.